Today I am telling you that your anxiety is not a disorder. It is a habit, a deeply wired, predictable, and automatic habit of your mind. You have been practicing this habit every single day. You have been practicing the ritual of worry, the ceremony of fear, the rehearsal of disaster. This has made you an expert in anxiety. This book is not about managing your symptoms. It is not about coping. This is a protocol for a hostile takeover of your own nervous system. We are going to dethrone the part of you that fears and install a new operator. Starting today, your anxiety is no longer your master. It is about to become your servant. Listen closely. You've been sold a lie, a comfortable, convenient, and utterly debilitating lie. The lie is that your anxiety is something that happens to you, a storm that rolls in from a foreign sky, a genetic curse, a chemical glitch, a disorder you inherited. That is the lie, and you have to abandon it right now, because as long as you believe that lie, you are powerless. You are a victim of your own biology, a passenger in your own body. You are waiting for a doctor, a pill, a therapist, or a miracle to save you. You are waiting for permission to feel better. You don't need their permission. The truth, the liberating and terrifying truth, is that your anxiety is a personal creation. It is a skill you have meticulously, unconsciously practiced. Think about it. The moment you feel that first twinge of unease, what do? You lean into it. You start the ritual. You search your memory for evidence to justify the feeling. You project yourself into a future where everything has gone wrong. You replay conversations. You imagine catastrophes. You feed the beast with the fuel of your own attention. You have become a master craftsman of your own misery. That ends today. Right now. The first step in this hostile takeover is to dethrone the myth of powerlessness. It's not about your genetics. It's about your discipline. It's not about a chemical imbalance. It's about a choice imbalance. You have been choosing by default the path of fear. Now you will learn to choose the path of command. Let's break down the mechanism. Your anxiety is not a single thing. It is a chain reaction, a three-part sequence that you have allowed to become automatic. Part 1. The trigger. This is the external event, the unexpected email, the strange look from your boss, a slight change in your heartbeat, a critical comment. These are neutral events. They are data points. But you have trained yourself to treat them not as data, but as detonators. Part 2. The interpretation. This is where the habit takes over. This is the crucial space, the gap between the trigger and your reaction. And in that gap you have a choice. You have always had a choice. You just never knew it. Your automatic habitual interpretation is one of threat. This means I'm in danger. This means I'm failing. This means something is wrong with me. That interpretation is a story. It is a story you tell yourself, and you are the author. You have a choice. You can choose a different story. You can choose a different interpretation. This is a challenge. This is feedback. This is irrelevant noise. The event doesn't change. The story does. And the story is everything. Part 3. The physiological response. Your body believes the story you tell it. When you interpret a trigger as a threat, your brain activates the ancient survival system, fight or flight, adrenaline, cortisol, a racing heart, shallow breath, tense muscles. This is your body being a loyal soldier, following the orders given by your mind. The problem is, your mind is a terrible general, sending false alarms multiple times a day. The key to breaking the chain is not to fight the physiological response. You cannot punch your own heartbeat into submission. The key is to command the interpretation. That's the key. Master the story, and the body will fall in line. This is the core of the protocol. It's not about suppressing the feeling. It's about changing the narrative that creates the feeling. You are not a victim of your nervous system. You are the architect of its responses. So, what is the new instruction? The first discipline is the discipline of narrative interception. When you feel the trigger, that familiar lurch in your gut, you stop. You create space. You do not allow the automatic story to run. You intercept it. You say, out loud if you have to, I am sensing a trigger. I'm now having a thought that this is a threat. That is a story. It is not a fact. This seems simple. It is not easy. It is the hardest work you will do. It is the work of rewiring a lifetime of habit. But it is work you are capable of doing. Right now, you must become a relentless observer of your own thoughts. Stop identifying with the anxiety and start observing it as anxiety. See it as a separate process, a program running in the background of your mind. You are the user, not the program. You are the operator, not the operation. It's not about eliminating fear, it's about establishing dominance over it. Your anxiety, when properly directed, has a purpose. It is a signal. It is your body's heightened state of awareness. The problem isn't the signal. The problem is that you've let the signal become the master. We are changing that dynamic. Your anxiety is about to become your servant. It will alert you to real challenges, to things that actually require your focus and energy. But you will decide what to do with that alert. You will assess. You will command. This is the essence of personal power. It is the recognition that between the world's stimulus and your response, there is a space. And in that space lies your freedom and your growth. You have been collapsing that space for years. Your mission, starting this very moment, is to widen it, to breathe into it, to claim it as your own sovereign territory. You are not powerless. You have been practicing the wrong thing. Now you will begin practicing the right thing, the practice of choice, the practice of command. You have mastered the first principle. You are the author of your state, not the victim of it. Now you must learn to control the most fundamental tool of that authorship, your own voice. You've been sold a lie, a comfortable, convenient, and utterly debilitating lie. The lie is that your anxiety is something that happens to you, a storm that rolls in from a foreign sky, a genetic curse, a chemical glitch, a disorder you inherited. That is the lie, and you have to abandon it, right now, because as long as you believe that lie, you are powerless. You are a victim of your own biology, a passenger in your own body. You are waiting for a doctor, a pill, a therapist, or a miracle to save you. You are waiting for permission to feel better. You don't need their permission. The truth, the liberating and terrifying truth, is that your anxiety is a personal creation. It is a skill you have meticulously, unconsciously practiced. Think about it. The moment you feel that first twinge of unease, what do? You lean into it. You start the ritual. You search your memory for evidence to justify the feeling. You project yourself into a future where everything has gone wrong. You replay conversations. You imagine catastrophes. You feed the beast with the fuel of your own attention. You have become a master craftsman of your own misery. That ends today. Right now. The first step in this hostile takeover is to dethrone the myth of powerlessness. It's not about your genetics, it's about your discipline. It's not about a chemical imbalance, it's about a choice imbalance. You have been choosing by default the path of fear. Now you will learn to choose the path of command. Let's break down the mechanism. Your anxiety is not a single thing. It is a chain reaction, a three-part sequence that you have allowed to become automatic. Part 1. The trigger. This is the external event, the unexpected email, the strange look from your boss, a slight change in your heartbeat, a critical comment. These are neutral events. They are data points. But you have trained yourself to treat them not as data, but as detonators. Part 2. The interpretation. This is where the habit takes over. This is the crucial space, the gap between the trigger and your reaction. And in that gap you have a choice. You have always had a choice. You just never knew it. Your automatic habitual interpretation is one of threat. This means I'm in danger. This means I'm failing. This means something is wrong with me. That interpretation is a story. It is a story you tell yourself, and you are the author. You have a choice. You can choose a different story. You can choose a different interpretation. This is a challenge. This is feedback. This is irrelevant noise. The event doesn't change. The story does. And the story is everything. Part 3. The physiological response. Your body believes the story you tell it. When you interpret a trigger as a threat, your brain activates the ancient survival system, fight or flight, adrenaline, cortisol, a racing heart, shallow breath, tense muscles. This is your body being a loyal soldier, following the orders given by your mind. The problem is, your mind is a terrible general, sending false alarms multiple times a day. The key to breaking the chain is not to fight the physiological response. You cannot punch your own heartbeat into submission. The key is to command the interpretation. That's the key. Master the story, and the body will fall in line. This is the core of the protocol. It's not about suppressing the feeling. It's about changing the narrative that creates the feeling. You are not a victim of your nervous system. You are the architect of its responses. So, what is the new instruction? The first discipline is the discipline of narrative interception. Your first and most powerful tool is your breath. Not just any breath. A tactical breath. A command breath. I use the 4-7-8 method. Breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. Hold that breath for a count of 7. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 8. Do that right now. Just once, feel that? That is not a suggestion you're sending to your nervous system. That is a command. You are literally switching your body from the sympathetic state, fight or flight, to the parasympathetic state, rest and digest. You are telling the dumb machine to stand down. The threat is not real. You are overriding the panic signal with a stronger, more authoritative signal. That's the key. You are not calming down. You are taking control. Your second tool is cold exposure. A cold shower, a plunge in an ice bath, splashing your face with icy water. This is not a wellness trend. This is a system shock. When you step into that cold, every single circuit in your dumb machine screams. All it can process is the cold. The anxious story, the looping thought, it gets drowned out, completely. You cannot think about your existential dread when your body is shouting, cold. The cold is a hard reset. It forces your body to burn energy to heat itself. It floods your system with norepinephrine, sharpening your focus. It teaches you one of the most fundamental lessons of discipline, that you can withstand profound discomfort and come out stronger on the other side. You don't need their permission to be tough. You just need to turn the knob to cold and stand there for 60 seconds. The machine will learn. It will adapt. Your third tool is intense exercise, not a casual walk. I mean intensity that pushes you to your limit. Sprints until your lungs burn. Weightlifting until your muscles fail. This is about creating a stronger, more dominant physical reality. Your body is generating all this chaotic, anxious energy. It's preparing for a primal battle, so give it one. When you sprint, you are giving that cortisol and adrenaline a job. You are telling your body, you want to run? Fine, run. You are burning the fuel of anxiety for a productive purpose. The exhaustion you feel after intense exercise is a clean exhaustion. It's not the jittery mental fatigue of anxiety. It's the deep physical satisfaction of a machine that has been used for its intended purpose. You have a choice. Let that energy fester into panic or channel it into power. The common thread here. Sensation. You cannot think your way out of a thought loop. You must feel your way out. You overwhelm the system with a stronger, more immediate, more undeniable physical signal. The burn in your muscles, the shock of the cold, the deliberate rhythm of your breath. These are the new commands you are inputting. They are louder than the fear. Every time, this is the heart of the discipline of physiology. It's not about being a peak athlete. It's about being the undisputed operator of your own body. When the alarm bells ring, you don't start evacuating the building. You walk calmly to the control panel and you silence the alarm. You recognize it for what it is. A faulty sensor, a glitch in the machine. Your body is a dumb machine. But it is your dumb machine. It will run the programs you input, without question. If you input the program of shallow breathing, slouched posture, and sedentary comfort, it will output anxiety, lethargy, and fear. That's the physical echo. But if you input the program of tactical breathing, of cold exposure, of intense exertion, it will output calm, focus, and resilience. You are the programmer. The choice is yours. You don't need your mind's permission to take control of your body. You just need the discipline to send the command. You've seized control of the machine. You've learned to change the physical channel away from the station of panic. But there's another noise that keeps us trapped, an internal chatter that fuels the fire. It's time to master that inner voice. You feel that knot in your stomach, the tightness in your chest, the mental loop that starts playing, the one that says, what if I fail? What if they laugh? What if it all falls apart? Your instinct, the instinct of nearly every person on this planet, is to engage, to argue with that voice, to try and reason your way out of the anxiety. You sit down at the negotiating table with your fear, you lay out your facts, you plead your case, and you lose. Every single time you lose because you're playing a game that was designed for you to lose. This chapter is about changing the game, permanently. It's not about conquering fear. It's about rendering it irrelevant. It's about learning the single most important disciplinary act of your mind. To stop having a dialogue with fear. Let's be clear. This isn't a suggestion. This is a fundamental rule of inner strength. You have a choice. You can either talk to fear or you can talk to your purpose, but you cannot do both. The negotiation trap. Think about the last time you were gripped by a deep, irrational fear. Not a rational caution, like looking both ways before crossing the street. I'm talking about the fear of sending that email, making that call, starting that project, asking that person out. What did you do? You probably started a conversation with it. Okay, fear, why are you here? Well, what if the worst happens? But what if it doesn't? Oh, but remember that one time something slightly bad happened? That means this will be a catastrophe. Stop. Right there. Every time you argue with an anxious thought, you are giving it a platform. You are giving it a microphone and a spotlight in the theater of your own mind. You are in a debate with a terrorist who has no demands. Let me say that again. You are in a debate with a terrorist who has no demands. The terrorist doesn't want your money. It doesn't want your surrender. The only goal of the debate is to keep you in the room. To consume your time, your energy, your life. That's the key. Fear's only power is the power you give it through your attention. When you negotiate, you are handing over the deed to your mental real estate. You are saying, here, you take the driver's seat. I'll just sit here and be your passenger while you drive us in circles. This negotiation is a trap. It feels productive. It feels like you're working through it. You're not. You're just feeding the beast. You don't need its permission to act. You don't need to win the argument. You just need to get up and walk away from the table. It's not about winning the mental argument. It's about ending it. That's the key. The power of the label and release. So if fighting fear doesn't work and negotiating with it is a trap, what's left? Ignoring it? Suppressing it? No, that's just another form of engagement. Trying not to think of a pink elephant only makes the pink elephant more vivid. The practice, the discipline, is something far more powerful. It's not to stop the thought, but to disarm it. The method is called label and release. Here's how it works, and I want you to practice this the very next time an anxious thought arises. Step 1. The label. When the fear-based narrative starts spinning in your head, you simply observe it. You don't get angry at it. You don't welcome it. You become a scientist of your own mind. You look at the thought and you silently, calmly give it a simple, dismissive label. Ah, the catastrophe story is here. Noted. The "I'm not good enough" tape is playing. Hello, old friend. The fear of rejection, that's it. You don't argue with the content. You don't get sucked into the movie. You just read the title on the marquee, and you acknowledge it. You have a choice in this moment. You can either become the thought, or you can be the awareness that notices the thought. Step 2. The release. This is the active part. This is where your discipline kicks in. After you label it, you consciously and deliberately release your attention from it. You imagine the thought as a piece of trash in your hand. You aren't angry at the trash. You don't analyze the trash. You don't have a conversation with the trash. You simply open your hand and drop it. You turn your attention, your focus, your conscious awareness to something else, to your breath, to the task in front of you, to your actual purpose. You do not engage, you observe and discard. That's the key. This isn't a one-time magic trick. This is a reps-based discipline. Label and release. Label and release. 100 times a day if you have to. You are building the muscle of mental command. You don't need their permission to do this. You don't need the fear's permission to let it go. You have a choice. Always. Your attention is your authority. Where you place your attention is where you place your power. Let that sink in. Your attention is not just your focus. It's your life force. It is the most valuable currency you possess. And you are spending it on fear. By refusing to give your attention to fear, you are not suppressing it. You are starving it of the only currency it understands. Fear is a parasite that feeds on engagement. No engagement, no fuel. It withers. It might not die completely. These patterns are old and deep, but it becomes background noise. A faint, irrelevant static instead of a deafening siren. This is the ultimate expression of your inner authority. It's not about feeling powerful. It's about acting with power over your own mind. When the fear arises, and you label it and release it, you are sending a thunderous message to your entire psyche. I am not governed by you. I am the governor. It's not about the absence of fear. It's about the presence of discipline. That's the key. The disciplined focus of your attention onto what you choose, not onto what you feel. When you feel the trigger, that familiar lurch in your gut, you stop. You create space. You do not allow the automatic story to run. You intercept it. You say out loud if you have to, I am sensing a trigger. I am now having a thought that this is a threat. That is a story. It is not a fact. This seems simple. It is not easy. It is the hardest work you will do. It is the work of rewiring a lifetime of habit. But it is work you are capable of doing. Right now, you must become a relentless observer of your own thoughts. Stop identifying with the anxiety and start observing it as anxiety. See it as a separate process, a program running in the background of your mind. You are the user, not the program. You are the operator, not the operation. It's not about eliminating fear. It's about establishing dominance over it. Your anxiety, when properly directed, has a purpose. It is a signal. It is your body's heightened state of awareness. The problem isn't the signal. The problem is that you've let the signal become the master. We are changing that dynamic. Your anxiety is about to become your servant. It will alert you to real challenges, to things that actually require your focus and energy. But you will decide what to do with that alert. You will assess. You will command. This is the essence of personal power. It is the recognition that between the world's stimulus and your response, there is a space. And in that space lies your freedom and your growth. You have been collapsing that space for years. Your mission, starting this very moment, is to widen it, to breathe into it, to claim it as your own sovereign territory. You are not powerless. You have been practicing the wrong thing. Now you will begin practicing the right thing, the practice of choice, the practice of command. You have mastered the first principle. You are the author of your state, not the victim of it. Now you must learn to control the most fundamental tool of that authorship, your own voice. Up next, don't move. Don't make a sound, just look. Look around the life you're living right now. Not the life you post online. Not the life you describe to your friends. The real one. The quiet one. The one when you're alone with your thoughts at 2 a.m. Now look closer. This isn't just your life. This is a crime scene, and I need you to start collecting the evidence. See that abandoned gym membership? That's evidence. The half-finished business plan saved in a folder named Someday. That's evidence. The conversation you needed to have but swallowed down because it was easier to stay quiet. Evidence. The vacation you didn't take. The promotion you didn't ask for. The connection you were too scared to make. All of it. Evidence. This is the scene of the crime. And the crime is the silent theft of your potential. The thief? Your own anxiety. Your own fear. It didn't kick the door down. It didn't have to. You let it in. You gave it a key. And it has been slowly, methodically, robbing you blind for years. You have a choice right now. You can close this book and go back to pretending you don't see the evidence. Or you can start investigating. The choice is yours. The first piece of evidence to analyze is the prison itself, your comfort zone. We've been sold a lie. We've been told it's a safe haven, a cozy retreat. It's not. It's a prison. And here's the most damning piece of evidence of all. You are both the warden and the prisoner. Think about that. You are the one holding the keys, standing guard at the gate, telling yourself all the reasons you can't leave. It's not safe out there. You're not ready. What if you fail? That's the warden's voice. It's a lie designed to keep you in a familiar cage. And you are also the prisoner, sitting in the cell, staring at the walls you built, believing you have no way out. You don't need their permission to leave. You are the one you've been waiting for. The warden and the prisoner are the same person. That's the key. This is the insanity of it. You're negotiating with your own fear for your own freedom. You sit in that cell and you make deals with the warden. Okay, if I just feel a little more confident tomorrow, I'll apply for the job. If I can just get one more sign that it's the right time, I'll have the tough conversation. The warden always says no. The warden's entire purpose is to keep you locked up. Stop negotiating with the warden. This brings us to the first non-negotiable directive of discipline. The first command you must obey if you ever want to be free. The decision to step out of your comfort zone is not based on feeling ready. It is never based on feeling ready. You will never feel ready. The decision is based on the undeniable, non-negotiable fact that the prison is a lie. The comfort is an illusion. The safety is a myth. The only thing real in that cell is the slow decay of your spirit. Discipline is the moment you look the warden in the eye. You look your own fear in the eye, and you say, I am not negotiating with you anymore. You don't need to feel brave. You don't need to feel confident. You just need to take the key you've always had, and you need to walk to the door, and you need to turn the lock. It's not about courage, it's about discipline. The discipline to act in spite of the fear. The discipline to see the prison for what it is, even when every fiber of your being is screaming that it's a sanctuary. So what does that first step look like? It's not about quitting your job and moving to Bali tomorrow. That's just another form of the warden's drama, another way to avoid the real work. The first step is small. It's brutal. It's mundane. It's waking up when the alarm goes off, the first time, and not hitting snooze. That's you, stepping out of the prison cell of your warm bed. It's choosing the salad over the pizza, not because you want to, but because you have a goal. That's you, stepping out of the prison cell of your cravings. It's sending that difficult email, making that uncomfortable phone call, doing the 5 minutes of work on your project when you'd rather scroll through your phone. Each one of these actions is a direct confrontation with the warden. Each one is you saying, your authority is revoked. You have a choice. 1,000 times a day you have a choice. Obey the warden or obey your discipline. Stay in the cell or walk through the door. It's that simple. It's not easy, but it is simple. That's the key. The feeling of discomfort, that knot in your stomach when you do the hard thing, that is not a sign that you're doing it wrong. That is the feeling of the prison walls breaking. That is the feeling of freedom being born. Embrace that feeling. Seek it out. That discomfort is the price of admission to the life you actually want. You don't need their permission to feel it. You just need to decide to pay the price. Your comfort zone is not your friend. It is the crime scene where your dreams went to die, and you have been living inside of it, tending to it, protecting it. Stop. Stop protecting your own prison. Stop being a loyal warden to a system that exists only to limit you. The evidence is all around you. You just had to be taught how to see it. You have a choice. You can remain the warden and the prisoner, a tragic two-in-one deal of your own making. Or you can become the escape artist. The one who saw the bars for what they were, took the key and walked out into the uncertain, the difficult, the real. That's the key. The prison was a lie. It always was. Your only job is to act on that truth. You've identified the prison. You've confronted the warden. Now, you need to learn the language you'll speak in this new world of freedom. It's time to stop talking and start listening. It's time to master the one skill that separates the reactive from the proactive. Listen to that. A breath. The most basic function of your body. And you've probably been doing it wrong your entire life when it matters most. Right now, I want you to understand something that will change everything. Your mind, for all its brilliance, is a liar. A dramatic, hysterical storyteller. And your body? Your body is a dumb, loyal machine. It doesn't think. It doesn't reason. It just reacts. It runs the programs you give it, whether those programs are genius or garbage. And when you feel that wave of anxiety, that pit in your stomach, the sense of impending doom, you are not feeling a profound truth. You are feeling a physical echo. That's it. That's the key. It's not a prophecy. It's an echo. Let me break it down for you. Your heart is pounding. Your breath is shallow and tight in your chest. Your muscles are tense, wired for a fight that isn't happening. This is the hardware malfunctioning. This is the machine overheating. And what does your brilliant overthinking mind do? It looks at this chaotic physical data, and it creates a story to justify it. You must be terrified of that presentation. Your relationship is definitely failing. You're a fraud, and you're about to be exposed. No. The truth is much simpler, and far more within your control. The feeling of dread is often just the physical echo of a racing heart and shallow breath. The mind is just creating a nightmare script to match the body's chaos. You have a choice. You can believe the story, or you can fix the machine. You've been trying to reason with the software, the anxiety, the fear, the stories. You've been in endless negotiations with your own thoughts. It doesn't work. You cannot think your way out of a thought loop. It's like trying to use a computer that's on fire to run a program to put out the fire. It's a losing game, so if you can't outthink it, what do? You hijack the hardware. You don't ask permission. You don't negotiate. You send a direct physical command to the system and you force a reboot. This isn't about relaxation. This is about command. This is about discipline. This is how you reclaim your mental sovereignty. You stop debating the terrorist. You stop feeding the parasite. You take your currency, your attention, and you invest it in your mission, in your work, in your life. You have a choice. Every single moment you have a choice. Conclusion and transition. You mastered the logic of the obstacle in the last chapter. Now you have the tool to master the internal fear that the obstacle creates. You stop the dialogue. You label it. You release it. You starve it. This is non-negotiable. You've taken back your attention. You've stopped talking to fear. Now let's talk about the other side of that coin. The power of not talking at all. The discipline of controlling what you say when you say it, and most importantly, when you stay silent. You want the reward. You want the power. You want the confidence, the respect, the life that feels like your own, but you don't want the feeling that comes with earning it. You want the muscle without the burn. You want the wealth without the grind. You want the voice without the awkward, terrifying first words. It doesn't work that way. It has never worked that way. So listen, and listen close. This chapter is where we stop lying to ourselves. This is where we stop pretending there's a shortcut that bypasses the gut-wrenching, heart-pounding, palm-sweating part of the process. That feeling isn't the enemy. It's the gateway. Your job is not to avoid it. Your job is to walk right through it. To, as the title says, embrace the suck, because that suck is the price of power. And you have a choice. Pay the price or live without the power. The discomfort mandate. Let's get one thing straight right now. That feeling of discomfort, that awkwardness, that tightness in your chest when you have to speak up. That is not a sign you are doing it wrong. It is the only proof that you are doing it right. Think about it. When you're sitting on your couch, scrolling, staying silent, what do you feel? Comfort, ease, the numb stillness of zero resistance. And what does that life get you? Nothing. It gets you more of the same. It's the comfort of a cage. The moment you decide to leave that cage, to raise your hand, to voice an unpopular opinion, to confront a problem, to take the stage, your entire biology will rebel. It will scream at you to stop. It will flood you with signals that you've made a terrible mistake. This is the discomfort mandate. It is a non-negotiable law. Growth cannot happen in your comfort zone. It happens in the field of discomfort. The sensation of anxiety, of fear, of uncertainty. That is the physical sensation of growth. It's the feeling of your old limits being stretched. It's the pain of a new identity being born. So stop running from it. Stop using that feeling as an excuse to quit. When you feel it, I want you to do one thing. Acknowledge it. Say to yourself, good, this is the feeling. This is the price. This is the proof that I am on the right path. You don't need their permission to feel uncomfortable. You don't need to wait until it feels easy. It will never feel easy. It's not about feeling confident, it's about acting with discipline despite the feeling. That's the key. The discipline to move forward with the fear, not without it. The alchemy of anxiety now. Let's talk about that physical energy. The racing heart, the sweaty palms, the heightened alertness. You've been taught to call this anxiety. You've been taught it's a malfunction, a weakness. That's a lie. And it's a lie that's costing you everything. Your body is giving you a gift, and you're mislabeling it as a curse. That surge of adrenaline isn't there to cripple you. It's there to fuel you. It's raw, untapped power. The body is the same. The story you tell yourself about it changes everything. This is the alchemy of anxiety. It's the conscious decision to transmute that energy, to take the raw, chaotic fuel of fear and pour it directly into the engine of your performance. Think of the greatest speaker you've ever seen, the most compelling leader. I promise you they feel it too, that spike. The difference is they don't call it fear. They call it excitement. They call it focus. They call it being in the zone, and you have a choice. You can tell yourself the old story. I'm so anxious. I'm going to fail. I can't handle this. That story turns the energy inward, where it boils into panic and paralysis. Or you can tell yourself the true story. I am energized. I am alert. My body is priming me for a peak performance. This energy is my fuel. That story channels the energy outward into action. Feel the heartbeat? That's not a panic attack. That's a drumbeat, pacing your delivery, giving your words rhythm. Feel the sweat? That's your body cooling the engine so you can perform at a higher level. Feel the hyper-awareness? That's not paranoia. It's your ability to read the room, to connect with your audience on a deeper level. It's not about eliminating the anxiety. It's about harnessing the discipline to redirect it. That's the key. You take the exact same physiological symptoms and you repurpose them. You are the alchemist. Your mind is the crucible. You transform leaden fear into golden focus. Seek the spike. Avoidance is the strategy of the weak. It's what you've been doing. You see a situation that spikes your anxiety and you run. Every time you run, you tell your nervous system, you were right. That was a threat. We should be afraid. It's time to reverse the strategy. It's time to become a hunter of your own discomfort. Instead of avoiding anxiety-provoking situations, you will now deliberately, strategically, and intelligently seek them out. In small doses, every single day, you are not running from the fire. You are walking into it to prove you cannot be burned. This is how you build your evidence. This is how you rewire your brain, one small, intentional victory at a time. What does this look like? Is it scary to make a phone call? You don't wait. You make the hardest call first. Does speaking up in a meeting make your throat close? You find one point in the meeting and you speak. One sentence. That's all it takes. Are you afraid of introducing yourself to a stranger? Your mission for the day is to give one genuine compliment. You are not seeking a monumental, life-shattering challenge on day one. You are seeking the spike. You are looking for that little jolt of fear and walking directly toward it. You are collecting proof, and with every small walk into the fire, you get the same result. You survive. More than that, you get stronger. The fire loses its power to terrify you. You learn that the feeling is temporary. You learn that the reward, the self-respect, the result, the momentum is permanent. You don't need their permission to start small. You just need the discipline to start. That's the key. Seek the spike. Chase the discomfort. Make it a game. This is how you build an identity of someone who is courageous. Not because you were born without fear, but because you have the discipline to act in spite of it. Conclusion: discomfort is not the enemy. It is the benchmark. It is the signpost that says, growth this way. The anxiety is not a flaw. It is your fuel, waiting for you to turn the key. The suck is not something to be avoided. It is the price of admission to a life of power. It is the grindstone that sharpens you. Embrace it. Seek it. Transmute it. You have a choice. You can continue to pay the price of inaction, a life of quiet resentment and unexpressed potential. Or you can pay the price of power, one uncomfortable, powerful, intentional moment at a time. You've learned to stop running from the storm. Now it's time to learn the power that comes from within the silence. Chapter 6, The Discipline of Silence, Taming the Voice in Your Head. Listen up. Right now you have an identity, and it's probably one you didn't choose. It's an identity built by your fear. You are the anxious one, the overthinker, the people pleaser, the person who can't handle conflict. This identity isn't just a label. It's a prison. It dictates every decision you make, every word you don't say, every opportunity you let slip through your fingers. But that ends today. Today, we are building a new identity from the ground up. We are not patching holes in the old sinking ship. We are building an ironclad vessel. Your new identity is not the anxious person. It is the unshakable operator. This is not a feel-good fantasy. This is a behavioral reality. You cannot feel your way into a new way of acting. Let me say that again, because it's the foundation of everything. You cannot feel your way into a new way of acting. You will never wake up one day and feel like a confident person and then act like one. It doesn't work that way. The circuit is wired backwards. The only way to become that person is to reverse the flow. You must act your way into a new way of being. That's the key. The discipline, the core of this new identity, is to make decisions from the place of your future, unshakable self. Not from your current fearful self. Your fearful self sees a difficult conversation and feels the urge to run. Your unshakable operator sees the same conversation, identifies the necessary outcome, and executes the required communication. Your fearful self feels a wave of social anxiety and wants to leave the party. Your operator acknowledges the physical sensation and chooses to engage one more person. You have a choice. It's not about the feeling. It's about the action you take despite it. This requires the death of a single, useless question, the most destructive, useless, energy-siphoning question an anxious person can ask themselves is, how do I feel? Stop it. Stop asking that. Your entire life, your operating system has been running on this corrupted software. You wake up and scan your body. How do I feel? A little tightness in my chest. Oh no, you're about to make a phone call. How do I feel? Nervous. My stomach is in knots. I can't do it. You're offered a new opportunity. How do I feel? Scared, unworthy, I'll probably fail. How do I feel? Is the question of a victim. It's a question that hands over the keys of your behavior to a chaotic, unpredictable, and often irrational emotional state. It makes you a passenger. It makes you reactive. Your new operating system, the system of the operator, runs on a completely different question. It's a question of power, of agency, of forward motion. The question is, what needs to be done? Say it with me. What needs to be done? This is not a question you ask your emotions. This is a question you ask your mission, your goals, your responsibilities, your integrity. The answer is never feel less anxious. The answer is make the phone call, prepare for the meeting, initiate the conversation, write the first paragraph, go to the gym, action first, feeling follows. This is non-negotiable. You do not wait for the feeling of motivation to strike. You do not wait for the fear to subside. You identify the necessary action and you move your body. You open your mouth. You press the button. The feeling of competence, of confidence, of control. That feeling will come after the action is complete. It is the reward for your discipline, not the prerequisite for it. You don't need their permission. You don't need your own fragile feelings' permission either. But in the moment of friction, when the old software is screaming at you to scan your feelings and run, you need a switch. A kill command for the old identity. You need a trigger to drop the story and execute. That trigger is a simple two-word phrase. Your silent mantra. I call it operator mode. Operator mode is not a state you wait to be in. It is a command you give. It is the deliberate, conscious choice to stop being the character in your emotional drama and start being the author of your actions. When you feel the familiar pull of anxiety, the urge to procrastinate, the spiral of a negative thought, you say it, internally, with force. Operator mode, and that command does two things immediately. First, it severs the identification. It creates a space between you and the feeling. You are not the anxiety. You are the operator who is experiencing a temporary physiological event called anxiety. The operator's job is not to get rid of the event. The operator's job is to manage it and continue the mission. Second, it forces the question. What is the next necessary action? Not the comfortable action, not the easy action, the necessary one. The one that moves you 1 inch closer to your objective. In a social situation, it might be, ask a question. In a work crisis, it might be, list the first 3 steps to contain the problem. In a moment of personal doubt, it might be, do 1 single push-up. You don't need to feel like doing it. You just need to do it. With emotional silence, the operator doesn't complain that the tools are heavy. The operator picks them up and gets to work. This is your new identity. The unshakable operator. You act as if you are already that person, and through that action, you become them. You stop asking, how do I feel? And you start commanding what needs to be done. You use your silent mantra, operator mode, to cut through the noise and execute. This is the ultimate expression of self-authority. You are no longer a weather vane spun by the winds of every passing emotion. You are the pillar. You are the operator of your own life. You make the choice and you take the action. You've built the identity. Now you need to learn its most powerful tool, the ability to not react, to not explain, to not seek validation. You need to master the art of holding your ground without saying a word. Listen to me. Right now, I want you to recall the last time you felt that twist in your gut. The dry mouth. The racing heart. Was it before you had to speak up in a meeting? Before you sent that text? Waiting for a reply? Before you posted a picture and the likes were slow to come in? That feeling, that anxiety, you've been told it's a fear of failure or a fear of rejection. That's only half the story. It's superficial. The real disease, the root cause of that sickness in your soul is your desperate, clawing need for validation. You are a beggar, holding out your cup, hoping someone, anyone, will drop a coin of approval into it. Like me. Approve of me. Think I'm smart. Think I'm attractive. Think I'm good. And when that coin doesn't come, your world shrinks. You feel worthless. You retract. You decide not to speak, not to post, not to apply for the job, not to ask for the date. You make yourself small to avoid the perceived danger of not being validated. This ends now. Today you cut the cord. Pause. Let it hang. The anxiety of approval. Let's expose this engine of misery. Social anxiety isn't a fear of people. It's a fear of people's judgment. Performance anxiety isn't a fear of the task. It's a fear of the evaluation that comes after it. You have handed over your internal thermostat to a world of strangers and told them, "You decide if I'm hot or cold. You decide if I'm worthy or worthless." Think about the insanity of that. You have given a random person on the internet, a colleague you don't respect, or a stranger at a party the ultimate veto power over your state of mind. Their opinion, which is based on their own baggage, their own biases, their own flawed software, becomes your command. You post a thoughtful comment. One person disagrees. Suddenly the 20 agreements mean nothing. The one dissenter holds all the power. Why? Because you need universal validation. You need everyone to like you. And that is a psychological prison of your own making. That's the key. You built this prison. You are the warden and the inmate. And you have a choice. You can choose to stay in that cell, listening to the chaotic, contradictory voices outside. Or you can choose to walk out. The door is unlocked. It has always been unlocked. You don't need their permission to be free. The standard is internal. So where does your worth come from, if not from them? It comes from you. It comes from a standard you set, and you alone. The fundamental shift, the only shift that matters, is moving from "what will they think" to "did I meet my own standard?" Your standard for preparation, your standard for effort, your standard for integrity, your standard for courage. Did you do the work? Really do it? Did you speak your truth even if your voice shook? Did you act in alignment with your code, even when no one was watching? That is the only measure. That is the only validation that counts. This is not a license to be an asshole. This is a mandate to be a sovereign. Having an internal standard means you hold yourself to a higher account than any external critic ever could. Their criticism is fleeting, often shallow. Your own self-assessment is relentless, deep, and ultimately transformative. When your focus is internal, the external noise loses its power. The opinion of others becomes like weather. Sometimes it's sunny praise, sometimes it's a storm of criticism. But you are the mountain. The weather happens around you. It does not change your fundamental nature. Your integrity, your disciplined effort, that is your rock. That is your foundation. You have a choice. You can be a leaf blown by the wind of every opinion, or you can be the oak tree that stands firm. It's not about their approval, it's about your discipline. The discipline to show up, the discipline to do the work, the discipline to judge yourself by your own damn ruler. Become unoffendable. This is the practical application. This is the daily drill. You must practice consciously and deliberately a state of radical internal sovereignty. You must become unoffendable. What does that mean? It means you treat the opinions, judgments, and rejections of other people as irrelevant data. Not as directives. Data. Someone says you're arrogant. Data. It tells you something about their perception. It does not mean you have to change your core. Someone rejects your proposal? Data. It tells you the proposal didn't resonate. It does not mean you are a failure. Someone doesn't like you? Data. It tells you about their preferences. It does not mean you are unlikable. They are entitled to their software. You are focused on running yours. Their opinion is a program running on their hardware, built from their experiences, their fears, their insecurities. Why would you let a program running on someone else's computer crash your entire system? Becoming unoffendable is the ultimate act of discipline. It's the mental muscle you flex every single time you feel that sting. The sting of a critique, the sting of an ignored message, the sting of not being chosen. In that moment, you have a choice. You can let the sting trigger the old program. See? I'm not good enough. I need to change to make them happy. Or you can activate the new protocol. You take a breath. You acknowledge the data. Noted. And you return to your mission. You return to your standard. Did I do what I believed was right? Yes. Then the outcome is information, not indictment. You don't need their permission to feel confident. You don't need their permission to feel worthy. You grant that to yourself. Through action. Through discipline. This is how you cut the cord. Not in one giant snip, but in 1,000 small moments. The moment you decide not to edit yourself into oblivion for fear of offending. The moment you state your price without flinching. The moment you wear what you want, say what you believe, and pursue what you desire. Not because you are seeking a reaction, but because it is your standard. Their validation is a weak currency. It inflates and deflates on a whim. Your self-respect, earned through disciplined action, is the only gold that matters. shift to a conclusive, powerful tone. You've just taken back control of your internal world. You've stopped handing your thermostat to strangers. But this internal sovereignty requires a new kind of language, one that isn't wasted on those who can't hear it. It's time to master the most underrated discipline of all. The fog is descending. You know the feeling. It starts as a low hum in the back of your skull. A single, nagging what if. What if the client says no? What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? And then, like a virus, it replicates. That one thought multiplies, spiraling out into a dozen terrifying scenarios, 100 potential disasters. Your mind starts churning, grinding over the same ground, but it's not producing anything. It's just digging a deeper hole of anxiety. This isn't productive thinking. This is the fog of overthinking. And in that fog, your mind is not your friend. It is a threat generation machine left on idle. When it doesn't have a clear, present, concrete task to focus on, its default setting is to invent threats, to simulate catastrophe. It's a relic of our ancient wiring, a malfunctioning smoke alarm that goes off when you're just trying to make toast, and you have a choice. You always have a choice. You can sit there paralyzed, while the fog gets thicker and the phantom monsters get louder. Or, you can deploy the single most powerful tool you have to clear the air. You can take an action. Any action. Because action is the antidote to ambiguity. Let's be brutally honest. You're not thinking. You're worrying. And worrying is the laziest form of mental activity. It feels like work, but it produces nothing. It consumes energy, but builds nothing. It's the cognitive equivalent of spinning your tires in mud. The deeper you go, the more stuck you become. So what's the escape? It's not another thought. It's not another session of talking yourself down. The escape is a physical, tangible, undeniable act. The moment you feel that fog descend, your discipline is to stop the internal dialogue and force an external result. Your discipline is to identify and execute one tiny, concrete, micro-action. I'm not talking about a grand gesture. I'm not telling you to solve the entire problem right now. That's the trap. The sheer scale of the final solution is what fuels the ambiguity. Your mission is to do one thing. Send the one email you've been dreading. Not all 10, just the first one. Do one single push-up. Not a full workout, just one. Clear the one cluttered surface on your desk. Not the whole office, just the desk. This is the clarifying power of a micro-action. Action is the antidote to ambiguity. When you move your body, when you create a result in the real world, you are sending a deafening signal to your threat-generating brain. You are telling it, shut down the simulation. I am dealing with reality now. Action brings instant clarity because it collapses an infinite number of terrifying possibilities into a single, manageable reality. That email is sent. That push-up is done. That surface is clear. There is no more what if about that specific thing. It is now a fact. This is where most people get it backwards. They believe the lie. The lie is that you need to feel motivated before you can take action. You wait for the inspiration, for the courage, for the perfect moment to strike. And you wait. And you wait. And the fog gets thicker. Let me give you the truth. You do not wait for motivation to act. You act to build motivation. Action is the antidote to ambiguity, and it is also the engine of motivation. Every single action, no matter how small, is a vote for your new identity. It's a vote that says, I am a person who ships the work. I am a person who honors his commitments. I am a person who faces things head-on. This isn't just philosophical. It's physical. It's neurological. Every time you complete an action, your brain releases a tiny hit of dopamine, the reward neurotransmitter. That dopamine does two things. It makes you feel good, and it trains your brain to want to repeat the behavior. You are literally, physically, building momentum in your brain's circuitry. You are carving a new neural pathway that says, action feels better than inaction. Momentum is not something you find. Momentum is something you manufacture. You build it brick by brick, action by action. The first action is the hardest. It's like pushing a boulder. It takes immense effort. But the second action is a little easier. The third, easier still. Soon you're not pushing a boulder. You're riding a downhill train. That is manufactured momentum. You built it. You chose it. So the next time you feel stuck, ask yourself the only question that matters. What is the one thing I can do right now? Not the 10 things. The one thing. The smallest possible step. And then, do not think about it. Do not analyze it. Do not consider the 15 ways it could go wrong. You have a choice. You can feed the ambiguity, or you can take the antidote. Your brain will scream at you. It will tell you it's too small, it's pointless, it won't solve the whole problem. Ignore it, it's a liar. It's a threat generator trying to protect its job. Your job is to fire it. You don't need its permission. You just need to move. Action is the antidote to ambiguity. It always has been. It always will be. Stop thinking about the perfect plan and start executing a decent one. Stop preparing to live and start living. The clarity you crave is not found in a thought. It's found in a deed. It's found the moment your body moves and makes a mark on the world. You've chosen to move, to act, to build momentum. But what about the noise? The constant internal critic that dissects your every move? To build an unshakable identity, you must first master the space between your ears. Let's be brutally honest with each other. You're tired. Tired of the internal negotiation. Tired of the mental gymnastics you perform every time you need to do something hard. I'll start tomorrow. I don't feel like it right now. One more minute. That voice, that endless committee meeting in your head, is the sound of your own defeat. You've been operating under a fatal misconception. You think your problem is a lack of willpower. You think if you just found a little more motivation, a little more inner strength, you could finally push through. You are wrong. Willpower is a myth. It's a finite resource and it abandons you the moment you're tired, stressed, or bored. Relying on willpower is like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. It will collapse. It always does. So what's the alternative? You don't need more willpower. You need a better system, a protocol. Your problem isn't a character flaw. It's a system flaw. And today we fix it. This chapter is about moving from decision to default. We are building a system so robust, so deeply ingrained, that the right action becomes your automatic, non-negotiable response. No thought, no debate. Just action. The protocol is non-negotiable. From decision to default, think about brushing your teeth. Do you wake up and have a passionate internal debate about whether you have the willpower to scrub your molars? No, you just do it. It's automatic. It's a default behavior. That's the level of automation we are building for your discipline. Every time you stop to decide whether or not to do the hard thing, you are losing. You are inviting the negotiator, the weak version of yourself, to the table. Your goal is to eliminate the decision. You don't decide to run at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. arrives and your feet hit the floor. That's the protocol. You don't decide to avoid the junk food. The junk food is not food. It's not an option. That's the protocol. This is the key. The silent discipline method is not a set of suggestions. It is your personal operating protocol. It's the software your mind runs on. An athlete doesn't debate the rules of the game mid-play. They've internalized them so deeply that their responses are instinctual. Your life is the game. This protocol is the rulebook. You don't need their permission. You don't even need your own. You just need to execute the code. The moment you feel that familiar tug of resistance, that whisper of, maybe later, you must recognize it for what it is. A system error. A bug, and you don't negotiate with bugs. You don't debate a computer virus. You run the antivirus software. Your protocol is that software. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you do. The action is the default. The protocol is non-negotiable. Your daily rewiring rituals. What does this protocol look like in practice? It's a series of daily, non-negotiable rituals designed for one purpose: to rewire your nervous system. To make discipline your body's first language, not a foreign tongue it has to struggle to remember. These are not chores. They are not items on a to-do list you can skip. They are the daily practice sessions for your new mind. They are the drills. First, morning silence. Before you consume the world, you fortify your own. 20 minutes. No phone, no noise, no input. This is not meditation for bliss. This is tactical silence. It is the calibration of your internal compass before the storm of the day tries to spin you in 1,000 different directions. This is where you set the tone. This is where you declare silently that today, the protocol runs the show. Second, physiological drills. Within the first hour of waking, you must signal dominance to your body. A series of deliberate physical actions. It could be 50 burpees. It could be a cold shower. It could be holding a plank until you tremble. This is not about fitness. It's about sending a message from your mind to your flesh. I am in command. Discomfort is irrelevant. We do this now. You are building a physical memory of following orders. Third, scheduled discomfort. You will schedule one specific, uncomfortable challenge for your day. Not a random act, but a planned one. It could be making that phone call you've been dreading. It could be having that difficult conversation. It could be working on your most important project for 60 uninterrupted minutes. You schedule it, you see it on your calendar, and when the time comes, you do not think, you execute. That's the key. You are practicing the act of moving toward discomfort, not away from it. Finally, the evening review. 5 minutes before bed, you look at your day, not with judgment, but with the cold, analytical eye of a systems engineer. Where did the protocol hold? Where did it fail? Did you negotiate? Did you hesitate? You don't beat yourself up. You identify the leak in the system, and you plan to patch it tomorrow. This review reinforces the learning. It turns daily experience into permanent wiring. You have a choice: to review and strengthen, or to ignore and repeat the same mistakes. There is no off day. Let me be crystal clear, because this is where most people fail. There is no such thing as an off day. The concept of an off day is a lie you tell yourself to permission your own decay. There is no neutral gear in life. You are always moving in one of two directions. You are either practicing your discipline, or you are practicing your anxiety. You are either building the protocol, or you are feeding the negotiator. Every single moment, every single micro-decision is a training session for one or the other. When you hit the snooze button, you aren't just getting 9 more minutes of sleep. You are conducting a masterclass in negotiation with your weaker self. You are practicing avoidance. When you skip the cold shower because you're a little tired, you aren't just staying warm. You are drilling the principle that feelings dictate actions. You are practicing capitulation. It's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. There is no day where the system is offline. There is no day where the rules don't apply. The protocol doesn't take weekends off. It doesn't get sick. It doesn't have bad days. It is the unwavering constant in a world of variables. Your job is to become the guardian of that constant, to protect it from the one person who constantly tries to shut it down. You. Every time you honor the protocol, you cast a vote for the person you are becoming. Every time you break it, you cast a vote for the person you are leaving behind. You have a choice. But understand the stakes. You're not just skipping a workout. You're not just eating a donut. You are actively training yourself to be weak, or you are actively training yourself to be strong. There is no middle ground. The protocol is non-negotiable. You have the system. You have the rituals. You understand the stakes. The rest is execution. Stop debating. Stop deciding. Start doing. Make the right action so automatic, so deeply encoded in your cells, that the wrong action feels foreign, like trying to write with your opposite hand. That is freedom. Freedom from the tyranny of your own mind. You've built the framework for an unshakable life. But a fortress is only as strong as its ability to withstand external attack. It's time to master the art of internal defense. Next, we learn to guard the one thing that fuels everything, your focus. Let's get one thing straight right now. You have been sold a lie. A dangerous, seductive, soul-crushing lie. The lie is that courage is glamorous. That conquering your fear is a single, epic battle on a stormy cliffside, with dramatic music swelling in the background. That the goal is to become a hero in a story, drenched in the sweat of your struggle, admired by everyone for how hard you fought. That is a trap. That is the glamour of struggle, and it is keeping you weak. You're addicted to the drama. You're in love with the narrative of your own suffering. Look how hard I'm trying. Look how much I'm battling. It's a performance. And the audience is your own ego. You think the peak of this work is a life where you constantly feel the fear and do it anyway. A never-ending, exhausting war of attrition against your own nervous system. That's not the goal. That's a prison. The real goal, the true, powerful, liberated endpoint, is a life that is, frankly, boring. I want you to live a boringly courageous life. Let that sink in. A life where anxiety is simply not a relevant factor in your decisions. Not because you've slain it, but because you've made it irrelevant. You've stopped feeding it. You've stopped giving it a vote. The internal screaming match is over. The committee has been disbanded. You are the sole executive authority. You have a choice. And you consistently choose the action that aligns with your mission, regardless of the faint, buzzing static of an old, ignored alarm system. That's the key. It's not about the feeling. It's about the decision. Think about it. The most courageous people you'll never hear about aren't the ones giving TED Talks about their panic attacks. They're the ones who get out of bed every single day and do what needs to be done. They are the single parent who works 2 jobs without complaint. They are the person who, after a devastating loss, simply chooses to make breakfast. They are the entrepreneur who faces down financial ruin not with a dramatic speech, but with the quiet discipline of making one more sales call. Their lives aren't cinematic. They are monotonous, and in that monotony lies an incredible, unshakable power. Mastery is in the monotony. True power is not built in the spotlight. It's forged in the dark, quiet, unsexy corners of your daily life. It is the 10,000th repetition of the protocol when absolutely no one is watching. No one is cheering. There is no audience. It's the discipline of the breath. Not when you're panicking on a plane, but when you're mildly annoyed in traffic. It's the chosen calm response to the minor trigger, the rude email, the long line, the disappointing news. It's the silent, internal refusal to even entertain the old dramatic story your mind is trying to sell you. You don't argue with it. You don't fight it. You simply don't buy it. You get up at the same time. You do your mindfulness practice. You eat the food that fuels your body, not your emotions. You do the hard work first. You have the difficult conversation with clarity, not emotion. You go to bed, day after day after day. It looks boring from the outside. There's no drama to report. How was your day? It was fine. I was productive. I stayed calm. That's not a movie script. That's a life of command. You don't need their permission to live this way. You don't need anyone to validate your quiet victories. In fact, most people won't understand. They're still addicted to the struggle. They'll wonder why you're so calm about things. Your silent discipline is a mirror, and it makes them uncomfortable. Let them be uncomfortable. Your mission is not to make them feel better about their own lack of discipline, because that's the final anchor. The ultimate shift. Your mission is your magnet. Up until now, your focus has been internal. My fear, my anxiety, my comfort, my discomfort. It's a small, cramped room where you're the only occupant, endlessly analyzing the dust on the furniture. The way out is to blow up the walls. To step outside into a world that is much, much bigger than your internal weather. You need a mission, a purpose, a project so compelling, so absorbing, that it pulls you through the discomfort like a gravitational force. Your focus shifts from the internal drama to external creation. You are no longer a person dealing with anxiety. You are a builder, a creator, a problem solver, a parent raising great kids, an artist making your work, an entrepreneur building a legacy, a student mastering a complex subject. When your mind is consumed with the details of your mission, the next step, the next design, the next line of code, the next lesson plan, there is simply no mental RAM left to allocate to the anxiety program. It tries to run in the background, but it gets no processing power. You are too busy building to be afraid. The fear might still whisper. But you can't hear it over the sound of your own focus. The urge to retreat might still appear. But you're being pulled forward by something stronger, and you choose the mission. This is the final integration. This is where the protocol becomes your life. You are not managing your fear. You are transcending it by becoming someone else. Someone more focused, more disciplined, more purposeful. The old you was obsessed with S.